Hello my beautiful minions. First I want to apologize because this video is going to be censored. Yes, I'm gonna have to add beeps to my cursing and swearing, because otherwise YouTube might actually put me on a blacklist or demonetize this video if I ever get the chance to monetize my channel. Because I really need to pay a few things and especially improve my machine to keep bringing you content. Well, anyway, this is a review for Call of Cthulhu. I almost say Call of Duty. It happens. I'm gonna have to add bleeps to that f***ing mistake. F*** you, YouTube. Go f*** you. My f***ing you piece of you staying on the internet. Oh God, I'm adding a lot of work for my useless sweating piece of you wobbling berry. Let's start this again. This is a review of Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth. Console and PC game, although it was released 10 years ago for both Xbox and PC. I'm not sure if they ever came out on PlayStation, and I really can't be bothered to check. It's an excellent game, but filled with bugs. And it still stands to this day. The graphics itself, it's not really that bad. It wasn't really that great back in 2006 to begin with, but it's not too bad. At least the movement of the mouth and blinking are present, and sometimes we still get games today which the mouth movement is really quite questionable. For example, some Telltale games, I don't know the latest ones, but at least the Walking Dead, the first season, you had problems checking their mouth movement when they go up and down or moving, saying syllables or other sentences. It felt fake, but this one actually felt more natural. The game itself has an amazing storyline and probably is the best PC game you're ever going to find that has the mythos as its main content. It is an excellent first-person shooter when it gets to be one. But sometimes it gets to fail. It doesn't compare to Half-Life or other pure first-person shooters, but it still gets there. It still gives you a more realistic approach. For example, you can hold your gun on full aim on the iron sight of the gun the whole time because your arms get tired and your gun will start to wobble. It's really quite interesting. Ammo or ammunitions are really quite rare to come by, so you really have to sneak around and count your bullets, or when you get to use them. And the first part of the game, you're practically gunless. You have no guns. All you have is your wits and the chance to sneak around. And I'm gonna talk about the sneaking a little bit later. Right now I'm gonna talk the first part. And that's interesting, especially because you don't get many games doing that. The environment itself is really quite immersive as well, because Innsmouth, it's quite a peculiar city. Countryside, towns, small, with weird people. You kind of feel the environment. You kind of feel like you're there. And the animations are quite good as well. The voice acting depends which character you get to. For example, if you get the Fishman, it gets a little bit iffy, but everything else is quite good. And it's not that bad. You'll be surprised how good this game is. And once you pick it up, you don't want to stop until you get the end. You want to find out what happens later. There are some puzzles that are a bit weird and lack feedback, telling you what you're doing is if it's working or not. And sometimes the clues are a bit complicated. For example, when you have to open vaults or coffers, or it tells you to turn the knob clockwise, but in the game you have to turn it anti-clockwise, and the keys to move it are reversed as well, so you get a bit confused when you're trying to do it. And then there's another problem, the bugs. There are way too many bugs in there. but it doesn't stop you from enjoying the story. There's a patch, an unofficial patch for the game that you can use to circumvent a few of those bugs. Can cause the storyline to stop. For example, one of the scenarios that I don't want to show it on the video being played right now, I wasn't sure where to go, but once I climbed a plank going upstairs over a roof, I just fell through it. And there was nothing to indicate that there was an actual hole in there. I just fell through it. And I managed to proceed the storyline like normal. Bugs like that are quite common. For example, there's one that the unofficial patch fixes. It's much later in the game, I don't want to get in detail to spoil the story, but it involves spotting faraway warlocks or whatever the name is, I forgot. But in my gameplay, when I was playing, they didn't show up. But with the patch, it managed to make me progress the story by ignoring it, those enemies. After the third scripted event, they allowed me to proceed. And you cannot use FOV slider, so you get a 55 on FOV. It's really, really narrow, and it really gets to you after a while. But with this unofficial patch, you can increase the FOV, and it becomes much more playable. Obviously, the models itself, the arms with the gun was made for a smaller FOV. So it will look a bit weird when you increase the FOV in the game. But it's still playable, it's still good, and you can still get the information of the iron sights on the gun. That's still perfect. So it won't really bother you. Now, sneaking around, which I want to go through, it's excellent, but at the same time, oh my god, it's frustrating. You stay under the shadows, and you keep walking, and sometimes out of notice, a mob spots you. You try to figure out why. And sometimes you can actually walk on the right side or the left side of the field of view of the enemy without them spotting you. It's not as intuitive as it wants to be, but it works. And it works enough for you to play the game and get through. There's also another interesting fact, that there's no HUD whatsoever for the game. And this is what makes it even more immersive. You don't know how your health is, you don't know how insane you're going. And I'll get through that a bit later. You have no idea how much ammo you still have on your gun. You have to count it like you do in real life. You shot 5 times. Okay, so the next one is the last bullet. You need to reload. It doesn't tell you anything, and that's great. Especially because if you fall from great heights, you break your leg. And the noise of breaking the leg is kind of creepy. And you get, for example, sutures, and you can see how the bone sticking out or whatever happened to you. And another interesting bit is that the save points, you don't save pressing escape on your keyboard. You have to find signs and symbols from the meters to save. Some of them include a star, and that star manages to stun the enemies around you or make them not chase you. Those are really quite interesting mechanics in the game. Now, storyline-wise, you don't care much about the characters itself. You only get to care about one person, and mostly because it sticks around with you until the end, eventually. I'm not going to say who it is, but you start caring about the person. Some of the puzzles are a bit confusing as well. There's one part where it involved gas. That's all I'm going to say, so it doesn't spoil the fun for you. The save points were far apart, and it was a bit tiresome. It gets frustrating because when you finally figure out what happens, you have to do it multiple times because there's no save point, so you have to start from the beginning until the end of the puzzle, and that's a long puzzle. So there's a lot of chances for you to make mistakes. There's another problem as well. It involves a chase where you're fleeing, and sometimes you have to unbolt the doors by looking at the lock. And without a HUD or even a little cross telling you what's the middle of the screen, sometimes you don't actually get to unlock, and you waste precious time trying to get that lock unlocked, until you have to open the door, close it, and run. As I've said before, the lack of feedback causes this, and the lack of HUD sometimes hinders your progress a little. But overall, the lack of HUD is a win win. The sanity system is quite interesting. If you keep looking at really creepy stuff or death or anything too gruesome, your character starts losing sanity. The vision will start wobbling and you start losing focus until the game itself ends by going completely insane. It's really quite an interesting mechanic. Now that I have said the bugs and the storyline, I don't know what grade I can put in this game. I would usually take quite a few points because of the quantity of bugs, but the storyline is so good, and the labor of love that they've done for the game, it really kind of set it apart from the rest. And because it's exactly one of the few games out there that includes a full-on mythos. So that's why I don't know what grade I'm gonna put it. If it's 70 or 80 or at least 90. Because this story is really good. I can't really stop emphasizing how the story is. The story is really good. So that's why I think I'm gonna stick with a 90. But with the bugs, there are workarounds, and you can still play and progress even with those damn bugs. There's one that the minimizing bug, where the game will definitely, without a doubt, crash if you try to minimize it or task change. That one is not fixable. It will crash. With that exception, I did not encounter any other crash in the game. Only bugs on the gameplay itself, which some can be corrected by, as I've said before, the unofficial patch, which hopefully I've included the link below and I didn't forget it. So with that, conclude the review for this great game, and you should get it. It's from Bethesda, so please get the game. At least if you're still unsure, wait until you get a sale. It is cheap now for what it offers. I'm staying right here. Good night, my beautiful minions, and take care.